Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm going to go ahead and give a retry of processing NGC 4535. I've already stacked the images, so I was able to stack them last night after Siril and Siril were giving me some weird errors. And if you weren't aware, what was happening was like I would put all the files into Siril. Hi Topcode, how are you? I would put all the files into Siril and or Cyrillic and start the stacking, and it would give me an error. And I ended up changing the working directory after I ended the stream. And the folder that the working directory was in didn't have a space in it, and I think that's what fixed it. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I've never really had that problem before. So everything is already stacked. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up the files into Siril and then start processing things. Oh, good. That's good. I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. Finally, I was able to stack the images that wasn't working last night. So I'm going to go ahead and I already previewed some of it a little bit, and I had some some dust spots that didn't really calibrate out, and I'm not exactly sure why. It could be because my flats were too short. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the reason. Either that, or I've got some really bad mirror flop, and so when I take the flats, it doesn't work. Oh yeah, happy solstice. Yep, it's cloudy here. So I can't really do too much. So okay, I've got the NGC 4535. I always have to check that to make sure I'm saying it the right number. I've got that the luminance data input into Siril, and it's about 1,060 something 30-second light frames, which I guess we could do the math and figure that out. So I'm guessing it's about 9 hours total. It's 8.8 hours. Yeah, so not too close. I mean, not too far off. And I've got about 10 minutes of RGB data with that. So it's a little bit over 9 hours total. Hey, James. Yeah, rain there too. Yep. I think it's, yeah, so I thought it'd be good to catch up on some of the processing of stuff I need to get processed. So I'm going to go ahead and just do an auto stretch just to see what it's like. And you'll see that there are a lot of sort of dust bunnies in here. I mean, the galaxy itself turned out nice, I can zoom in on it. And I think there's a lot of good detail. It's a really interesting galaxy. But again, yeah, like the vignetting didn't calibrate all the way out. We got a lot of dust spots everywhere. I mean, on the one hand, it looks like collimation was okay. I mean, the dust spots are pretty round. So I don't know exactly what's happening with that. Yeah, you left with a dust mist the galaxy just barely. Yeah, I think it's a really cool galaxy. So I mentioned it about a month ago. So what I'm going to go ahead and do first is I'm going to process a little bit differently than I usually do. I'm going to make it linear again. I'm going to go ahead and do the star processing and star removal. And I don't think I want to recompose the stars on completion. I just want to pre-stretch the linear image and then execute, and we'll see. So it's going to take a little bit. Luckily, I have an NVIDIA GPU that can take advantage of the GPU. So it's running right now. It's going fairly quick. You can see the progress bar here. Let's see. This is one I imaged after your last imaging of it. Yeah, it's a really cool galaxy, I think. So okay, so it's got the stars out of it. Yeah. So And there we have it. So I'm going to see if I can bring it back into, open up the starless image into GIMP. So I'll show you what happened. So in the working directory in Siril, it's now produced two files. One is a starless and one is a star mask. So I'm going to go and open this one up inside GIMP. And we'll process it there. Okay, it's opening up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to close some other files I had open in GIMP from last time. Okay. Okay, so here's the starless image. And so let's go ahead and stretch it just a little bit more. So colors and levels, and stretch it just so we can kind of see what's happening. And you can see sort of all the detail here. And then what I want to do is, I'm not going to crop it yet. At what point do you use your sharpening tool? I'll probably use it after I recombine the stars. What GPU do I have? So I'm using my laptop, which it has an okay GPU in it. It's NVIDIA Quadro RTX 3000, so it's a little bit older. So the laptop's a little bit older, but I feel like it's good enough for what I want to do. And I don't feel like I don't feel like upgrading at this point. I feel like my computer is okay. But yeah, it's a little bit older. I think it's probably from it's probably a few years old by now, like 4 years old, but it still does StarNet really quickly. And it still helps train my neural networks kind of quickly too. So it's good. So we've got all this good stuff here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, so what I want to do, I wanted to extract all the stars, so then I could take this and do a heal selection on all of the dust spots without having to worry about the stars messing things up. So let me show you what I mean. So if we go to filters, enhance, and heal selection, and this is the resynthesizer plugin. It's an older plugin for GIMP, but it usually works. Sometimes it doesn't. But what we need to do is make a selection around the spots that we want to heal. So if I just take the lasso tool and I just do this, then if I do filters and enhance and heal selection, it'll ask me what the parameters I want. So it's going to have, how many pixels out do you want to go? 50? We could go 100. We could go whatever. Do we want to sample all around, or just from the sides, or just from above or below? We'll just do all around and fill it kind of randomly. And it should do okay. Yeah, I think it's smarter to do it this way. Get rid of the dust spots this way. I think it's nice nice to do that. I was thinking about how I could process the dust spots, and I was like, well, I used the resynthesizer plugin. Okay, so that didn't work too well. So maybe we'll try different parameters. So do it again. Or maybe what we'll do is undo that and try a smaller selection. And then filters, enhance, heal selection. Wait for the thing to pop up. Maybe we'll want to try 25 this time. And then we'll try it again with different parameters and see if it works better. Otherwise, you could just go in with the clone tool and do it. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. So you can, if I select all now, it's barely noticeable. It's still a little bit noticeable. We could go in and blur that a little bit later. But we can do the same thing with this image, or this dust spot, which is pretty bad. I'm just going to hit Control F, and it's going to redo everything again. It's just going to, so you can see it's saying resynthesizer, synthesizing. So I don't have to pull up the the filters, enhance, and then heal selection. I can just do Control F. It redoes the last filter that you applied. So we'll see how this one turns out. If not, we'll open it back up, change your parameters, and hopefully things will work. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. That's a lot nicer. So that spot is almost gone. We'll keep doing this for all of the dust spots. It's going to take a while. Yeah. Does GIMP have a dodge burn tool? If so, I wonder if that might work. Yeah, it does have a dodge burn tool as well. I guess we could use that. I'm just kind of like used to this plugin. So again, I'm going to select it, Control F. It's gonna do that. We could go over here. There's clone. I think here's dodge burn. Yeah, here we go. Dodge and burn. Yeah, I think that would work too. I think the really neat thing is like StarNet. StarNet can like save the picture, right? Like there's just so many little dust bunnies here. And if, imagine like all of the stars around here, like what we would be doing is like it would be trying to clone the stars into the selection that we've made, which is of course not ideal. So I'm just gonna select that, redo that again. And yeah. Okay, and then I keep selecting the little inconsistencies here with a lasso tool and try and get rid of as many as we can. Like we could also just do the filters, tools, and then paint tools and clone. I don't know. I feel like this way is just a lot less like, I don't have to think about it as much, So I just circle it and do Control F and it works pretty well. No, that didn't work too very well though. You can see it made things worse. So maybe we'll try a smaller selection, like half of it, and then we'll try again. We'll see what happens. Yeah, sometimes you just have to play around the parameters, or yeah, I don't know. It's okay. This one is real bad. But you could also, come on here and let's see. What telescope did you use to acquire this data? It was just a C8, an older C8. So I'm thinking maybe the mirror is a little bit loose, or there's a little bit of mirror flop. So like as it tracks in the sky, things change a little bit. And that might be causing me the flat problems. Also, it could be also that I just have too short of flats. So like the mirror on the C8 is so big that even on really dim settings I've got like a tracing board, like an LED tracing board that I use for my flats, that sometimes like I just can't get it dim enough for it to have like I can't get it dim enough to get long enough flats, and so that might make the flats a little bit, with the CMOS sensor that I have, it might make it just like unreliable. Typically flats are just correcting dust on the sensor though. Have you tried cleaning it? The sensor? Have I tried cleaning the sensor or the corrector plate? I haven't tried cleaning either one. So I guess that could answer the question. Oh, so sometimes it happens, like if it just doesn't want to do it. And I don't know why. Like it's just an older plugin. So it just fails sometimes. So we could do this, we could go into filter tools and then paint tools and clone, or you could just press C on the keyboard. And what I would do is make it real big and the hardness real soft, like just very soft, and then just like go over it until it kind of disappears. And this is another way that you can do it. Cleaning the sensor, cause that's where the dust that flat's correct is located. Yeah, I haven't tried cleaning the sensor. I'm a little bit afraid of doing that. But yeah, so could do that. The problem with the clone tool is that, like, I don't know, you have to like get the right hardness, or else like it feels like it's smoothing out the image a little bit too much. But just do this, and then kind of fix up everything. What camera did I use? It's a ZW or ZWO 294 monochrome camera. Usually it works pretty good. Like, I think it has something to do with a C8. Something about the way I'm taking the flats, which is just messing things up. It's probably just user error on my part. Cleaning a sensor isn't too scary, though getting proper supplies can be a bit pricey. Yeah. I'm just afraid I'm going to touch it or something. Touch the sensor, get all my fingerprints on it. That would be bad. Okay, so we've got that. I think, I don't know. I still don't like it too much. Let's try. I mean, it's better, but whatever. We will bring the levels in just a little bit, and then we'll save this as another fits file. And we'll just call this, like, I don't know, we'll underscore and say like I don't know, dust corrected or something, just so we know what it is. And then I'm going to bring that one back in to Siril. So I'm going to open it up, and then that's the one. And then I'm going to go ahead and just crop it a little. Well, let's see. Do I want to crop it yet? Let's add the stars back in first. Let's go ahead and add the stars. So we'll open his layers in GIMP. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. We'll go ahead and try and put in the stars and then open it up. Okay, so this is, there are a couple of ways you could do this. You could do like addition. So we could do addition, and then as we stretch it, like the stars will come out. Or you could do it as like screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it as a logarithmic scale so I can see what's going on. Kind of want to like stretch it quite a bit, because the image is kind of stretched a bit. Like you see, like if you do addition or whatever, like it can really make things kind of weird. So maybe screen is better. Screen can work. Guess we could compose it in GIMP as well. I mean, in Siril. You can also just get one of those small blur things and see if that fixes it. My Player One camera came with it, but I don't know if ZW does ones. Yeah, I don't think the ZW had one. I have to try that. I've got like an electronic duster blower thing, so maybe that would work. Okay, so we're just going to try and stretch these stars until we can get something that we like. Kind of mess with everything. Just play with the sliders a little bit. until the stars kind of look natural. They look a little bit blurry is the thing. Like when you do it with this, one thing I've noticed with StarNet, like even in Siril, like if you decompose the image into like the starless image and just the stars, when you put things back together, the stars sometimes just aren't quite as sharp as they used to be. And I think what's nice about AstroSharp is it does a pretty good job at like sharpening them back up. I've had feedback like that too, where people kind of say like when I use StarNet, like things get a little bit weird, but after AstroSharp things get nice again. So we'll see if that works this time. I'm not sure it will, but we'll see. We'll see. Like you can see all these stars are kind of like, yeah, meh, they're not nice. But we want to kind of brighten them up quite a bit. I mean, not too much, but like you can see like it's harder to process it like this to make it look natural. So just going to go around here to make sure that like things look relatively okay. I think the galaxy looks good. I'm afraid that I'm brightening the stars up a little bit too much. But at the same time, I do want the stars. I do want to have like, to be able to see the stars. And so, I don't know. We'll see. Did you use a ZWL filter wheel? If so, I've heard of people having issues with the filter wheel not returning to exactly the same place when imaging versus taking flats. I do use like the mini filter wheel with the 5 things in it. I have to check that out because like I feel like I had that problem. So I went kind of camping last weekend and I took the telescope with me and I feel like I was trying to take flats with my HA filter and it just wasn't like lining up correctly or something. I was getting really weird reflections and I usually don't get those. So I'm wondering if maybe it was the filter wheel or something like that. So, yeah. Topcode says that's a good point. The filter can also be the location of the dust. Keep that clean too. Yeah. I think after this, I really have to like clean a lot of things like corrector plate, filter wheel, things like that. So let's see if we can get these stars to like kind of decent. We look at Siril. Let's just bring back Siril and we'll just open up the full image and see what the stars look like when they're stretched. So this is the final one. Just want to compare. So if I do just a simple auto stretch, see there's like a lot of stars here. And then, but like here, there's not a lot of stars. There's a unidirectional setting somewhere in the software if memory serves. I have to check that out. Is that in the because I use K-stars, would that be in the driver for it? James says, I wonder whether you could make an AR star replacer. You take the star image and AI replaces the actual stars with AR stars. You could. I think you could. I think it would be a lot of work. I was listening to like Russell Croman. He was talking about his star exterminator or whatever that is, whatever his thing is called. And he says that he had to manually go in and clone out all the stars for his training images. That's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. So yeah, let's see if I can Where's levels? Yeah, so we're getting kind of like not as many stars as I would like. So maybe we can go back into 0 real quick. Let's see, into a star recomposition. So we will try that. Is anything in Astra not a lot of work? Yeah, that's true. Things are getting less work, like less, I don't know, like when I first started, it was like, if you wanted an automatic focuser, like those things just weren't, there was no mass produced focuser, you know? So like, if you wanted to get one, it was like, you were having to buy one of those, I don't know, like custom made ones. I can't remember. Like you go to like Chuck's astrophotography, like, and look at his videos from like 6 years ago. He talks about like all the different focusers he buys and everything like that. Like, and they were expensive. Like, and you had to get one custom made for each scope. It was pretty crazy. So I'm just gonna save this as a fits file. I'm just gonna do that again and see if I can recompose the image. So let's see. Or maybe I won't. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to open up this and use this one as the starless image, and then open up the stars, the star mask here. And then we'll see if we can just do it here in Siril. And we'll see. Yeah, here we go. So you can see the stars are coming back in. Yeah. Okay. We've got a lot of vignetting though, so we'll try and fix that. So let's just try and, let's see, how far do I want to take the stars? Like I want it to look kind of natural, but I don't want like, there could be too many stars. I mean, like the stars to be too big and bloated. So maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe that's a little bit, I don't know. Take it all the way, see what happens. That's way too bloated. Just trial and error. And then I think that looks okay. We can see like the spots everywhere. It's horrible. It's really horrible. So apply. And then we're going to do some background extraction. And again, RBF background extraction, just go here, take some points from all around the image. Give me 1 sec, I'm going to crop this first. And then we're going to do this. Yeah. I'm just going to take samples, click on samples when I get the corners. Like, it's weird though, because like it didn't even seem like the flats did very much to help with the vignetting in the image, which is, I don't know, interesting. Probably don't need this many samples, but I'm going to take the smoothing factor all the way up. I'm going to add a dither to it. Sometimes it helps. And then compute the background. And it's okay. Like, still looks really messy. Just bring the slider down ever so slightly. So it's one of the things, like, I'm also like in a Bortle 7 or 8 zone too, so it's really hard not to get all these weird gradients everywhere, especially when I'm imaging over multiple nights and stuff, but it is what it is. I'm not saying that my photos are the best, but it's just fun. It's fun. Okay, so I'm going to apply this, and we will work on this more in GIMP. So I'm just going to go and save this as we'll just call it the luminance, I don't know, Siril processed or something like that. Something that we know that we processed it in Siril already. Portal 7.8, yeah, I can't use narrowband. Yeah, it's 7 or 8 sometimes. Sometimes I feel it's worse. So I went like to the mountains, like in West Virginia. I think it was a Portal. It's like right on the edge of a Portal 3 or 4 zone, and it was just so dark compared to where I'm at. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Oh, is it still in litter? We haven't stretched it yet. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's stretch a little bit more. Maybe just a little bit more, using the generalized hyperbolic stretch transformation. And let's do logarithmic scale. Maybe put the symmetry point like right there, where you can see like in the curve, and then we'll like it's in sort of the middle of this curve, and we'll see if we can flatten it out a little bit. So it just play around with the sliders just a little bit. A little bit too much. I think that's good. I think we can work with that in GIMP and get a more flat image, and I'll try to see if like there are some different procedures I can do for that. I'm Portal 5, 6, so pretty mediocre. Yeah. I think Portal 5 or 6 is every step down. It's just like you can really notice an improvement. You know, like it just like you go from a Portal 10 to Portal 9, and it's like it's a lot better. But from Portal 9 to Portal 8, it's even better. You know, and it just you know, light pollution is just bad. Don't like it. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's as bright as, you know, looks plenty bright. And then going to close this, and now we will save this as we'll save it as a TIFF file now, because we might put it into the Aster Sharp. So let's see here. No, what did I say that we're going to call this? Like Siril process or something? Loom, just so we know what it is. Something that like we know what it is. That's not too bad, honestly. Like there's smudgy spots everywhere from where we tried to correct the dust stuff, but like we'll try and fix that. Yeah, light pollution is super annoying. Okay, so now we're going to work on some of the RGB data. So we're going to do RGB compositing, and then we're going to pick our files for the R. So I have, I have all of these here. So we're looking for the final ones that Cyrillic stacked. And so here's the R. Just going to open it and do the same thing for the G and the B filters. And if we go to the RGB tab, we can already see what it looks like. If we do an auto stretch, it's going to be really green. Again, we've got a lot of light pollution, a lot of like LED lights all around me, just like making things not very nice. So what we can do is we can like adjust the layer brightnesses, or like, I don't know, we could try and do this here, like do some background neutralization and get like a pretty nice result. That might work. We could also bring it into GIMP. So I'm a little bit lazy tonight, so I'm just gonna keep it in Siril for a little bit, and then we have to also like get a white reference and go ahead and apply that. And so we've now we've got it sort of a more color corrected image. And yeah, so we'll try that. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we could do is we could take this into StarNet again and reprocess it. I'm a little bit lazy. A little bit lazy. I don't think I want to do that either. Don't just pick random star for the white. Yeah, we could do that. I just pick the bright one, the brightest one I could find, I think. Maybe that's wrong. How would you do it, Tad, top code? Go ahead and crop this as well. Okay, so we've got this cropped. Let's see, generally I check stellarium for a BV of around 0.5, which corresponds to a white star. Yeah, I just kind of figured I'd pick the whitest star I could find. Are you familiar with the videos James Lamb puts on YouTube? He's got a video that goes over the flat taking solution I mentioned earlier. I've seen some of his videos. I haven't seen all of them. So I have to check that one out. I know that he's done he does a lot of experiments with flats and what flat settings are the best. And I think last one I saw of him was probably a couple years ago, where he was testing flats, using I think his television versus other methods to see what the results would be like. Do you allow links in chat? If so, I'll link it. I'm not sure if I have the settings. Let me see. You can try it. YouTube doesn't allow links in chat. It doesn't even allow YouTube links in chat. It's interesting. Okay, so just sent a link. Okay. I'll check it out. Let me see. No, I don't see it. It doesn't. I don't see the link. It's weird. Okay, so what we could do now is do we do color correction or do we do background extraction first? I guess we could do background extraction first. I don't usually notice a difference, but we'll see. Yeah, it doesn't show up. Okay, let's see. So we're going to do the same thing. Okay, that was better. So again, this is about 30 minutes of data in the RGBs. So just going to click apply, and then we can try to do some, where is it? Color calibration. We'll do photometric color calibration. And then we have to find our target, and you see 45, 35. Fine, we found that. And then focal length, pixel size, I think it's half of that. So I think it's 4.63 is my pixel size. I don't know why it does that all the time. And then hopefully it'll work. We'll check. Yeah, looks like it has calibrated, so it succeeded, so we're good. Oh, I don't need to do it again, but it doesn't change anything. Okay, so we are this is auto stretch. Because it's the color, I think I'm going to do an arc sign stretch first and then a generalized hyperbolic transform, and then we'll bring it into GIMP later. So let's do just a small arc sign stretch. This will keep the colors of the stars generally like without blowing things out too much. Okay, and then, oops, then we'll do the generalized histogram. Okay, so I'm going to set my symmetry point somewhere along this curve here to try and straighten it out and increase the local stretch intensity and increase the stretch factor. Yeah, so we're getting kind of weird. It's really red for some reason. So maybe we want to bring that down for the red. Alternatively, this is why I kind of like doing it in GIMP a little bit more, because I feel like I have a little bit more control on actually getting the color channels aligned. So we could undo everything and redo it in GIMP. Well, or we could just play around with the color channels by themselves. So we could reset this and then uncheck the red and just try and do blue and green at first, and then do the red, so where it matches up. But I want my symmetry point like here. And then now we unclick the other ones, go to red, and try and do the same thing, and trying to get things to match up so it's not so, I don't know, weird looking. Rats, this is the video title for later. Use more issues with flats, released on February 2nd, 2023. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I'm sure it's probably pretty interesting. I have to check it, yeah. Okay. Okay, let's see. I don't know if you noticed, but your image just flipped around the horizontal axis. Yeah, yeah. I think it is. I think it flipped it. I think either because it's the C8, because it's a reflector, or whatever. Either that, or it flips it after it does the photometric color calibration. Sometimes it does that as well. So if I do, like when I do the photometric color calibration and it says flip if needed, if I have that checked, then it'll flip it around. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to close this, and we can actually save this, and then all the other color processing we'll do in GIMP. So we're just going to put this as RGB, and let's just maybe something process 0, so we can keep track of it. It doesn't matter. So 3216 should be fine. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up Astro Sharp, and I'm going to go ahead and sharpen the image. Just the luminance, so it's going to be a black and white image, and keep the chunk size as everything is the same. I'm going to go ahead and browse and find the folder that I'm in. So let's see, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So many folders. Okay, so here's the luminance that we want to sharpen, and we'll just let it run. So it'll take a few minutes. And we'll bring that sharpened image as well as the original luminance image into GIMP, as well as like the RGB, and we'll start trying to put it all together. Why did you try making your own sharpening program? Oh, uh, hmm. It feels like an existential question. Well, because like I don't know. I just like I figured I could do it. I wanted to do it, and I wanted to like I don't know. There's a lot of sharpening programs out there for astronomy, and they're all kind of paid. And I wanted like a free version that anybody could use, and I didn't see anything like that. I know there are like free, like AI blurring solutions that use like Python and stuff, and you have to like do all that other stuff. I never saw like a sharpening thing. Why not laugh at? Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of fun too. Like I do get a little bit burnt out from it at times. Like everything has been coded from the ground up. So like how it extracts the pixel values, I coded the functions that extract those. How it predicts each pixel, I coded all of that. And so after a while, it gets a little bit like I kind of want to change the whole model a little bit so that it does the stars better. And so that just means I have to create new functions. I mean, there's similar functions, but it just gets a little bit tedious. But yeah. 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 Thanks. Yeah, that's right. I do say, well, yep, yes, that is something I do. Why not? Okay, so we're waiting. I think the next step, like the next release, will probably just be a smaller release that'll be able to take care of the slowness of it, so it can add more cores. You can add more cores to process the image. How much training data did you use? So what's interesting about training data is that you can basically create as much training data as you want. So you could take like one image and manipulate it 1,000 times through software, and you just get like 1,000 training images from one image, and it can like, so what you do, for example, is you take the original size image, you would like shrink it down like to half size and then blur it, shrink it down to a quarter size and then blur it or whatever. And you can do that kind of as much as you want. So in terms of total number of pictures, I used, I don't know, dozens of Hubble pictures, but then I manipulated them hundreds of times. so that helps, like, so you don't have to use as, like, you don't have to get as much training data as you need. But with that, you risk overfitting. Yes, you do. You can overfit the data, but like, what you want to do is have validation data, and you keep track of, so you split your data up into just the training data that the neural network gets to see, and then there's sort of validation data that the neural network doesn't get to see. And it will test itself on the validation data, and you can see how well it performs on the data it didn't see. And if you see a divergence, meaning like it's getting really good on the training data, but it's starting to do very poorly on the validation data, then you know it's overfitting, and you need to stop the model and maybe either add more data or do something else. Okay, so we've got the sharpened preview. It's finally finished. Where did you get your Hubble images from, and were they pre-stretched? Yeah, so there's like, I don't know, like hubblesite.org. There are other sites where you can get the raw FITS files too. I think it's just HubbleSite.org, and I went from there from different things. Mass, I think, yeah. So let's see here. Let me see if I can find some of the sites that I got the data from. So there's Mast. There's also like, was it Hubble Legacy or something? HubbleSite.org. So Hubble site, I can get here. I can get, there's also Hubble Legacy Archive, where you can search for like whatever you want to and get it from there. Is there any benefit to acquisition formats FITS versus XISF? I use PixInsight and it keeps nagging me about FITS being deprecated. I don't know. I don't know if there's other. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. I usually use FITS or TIFF. I think it's fine. But like, let me get this here. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that question. But, okay. Generally, I train the model on TIFF format because it's a TIFF format is from 0 to 1. So it's basically like all of the values are normalized from 0 to 1, whereas if I use FITS or some other format, then it would be an ADU, which would be like from 0 to 65,000, and you'd have to normalize the data before anyway. Yeah, everything. Yes, yeah, software is. Yeah, that's right. That's true. Okay. What was I doing? Saving the file. Saving the sharpened image. We'll see how it works. I don't know. No, I hope it's sharpened well. We'll see. We can preview it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think the tool just needs more training and stuff like that. So okay, so we will open up what we've already processed. So this is the original one that we processed. We will open up as layers the sharpened image. Sharpened image is there. And we can check and see what it looks like. So I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, the stars are a little bit smaller. You can see like this star here, like StarNet++ in Siril, like when you try to add the star back in, it kind of like makes it a little bit fuzzy. And I think it makes it more fuzzy than if you had just stretched it regularly. And some of the feedback I got from other users is that when you put it through AstroSharp, it really tightens it up. You know, I think that's one of the benefits of AstroSharp. Let's look at the galaxy and see how much it helped there. So here's the sharpened image. Here's the unsharpened image. I think it does, does okay. You can see like the little bit more definition in the spiral arms. So do we keep it? I think we could keep it. I think it's good. It's darkened up the background a little bit, so as well. So like when it sharpens it does darken it up. I think that's fine, especially for an image like this. Yeah, thanks. Big difference. Yeah, thank you. I think there is a, it did help this image, which is good. Okay, so what we could also do, is we could put this here for a second and look at the unprocessed image, I'm going to duplicate it, Control Shift and D in GIMP, and then going to try to get rid of the galaxy for a second. So my intention in this stage is to clean up the background, to make the background more even, because we've got a lot of still sort of leftover dust spots, a lot of unevenness due to the, just the light pollution and everything, like all the different weird gradients that happen. So I'm going to try to even up the background, and we will see if it works. Sometimes you can be a little bit too aggressive with this, but I'm going to get rid of the galaxy first, and see if we can heal the selection, if it'll let us do it again. It might not let us. If not, we'll try something else. So this time we would do 50, do all around, and it is working. We just wait. It's going to take a little bit longer too. Yeah, so I think one thing, if AstroSharp hasn't been working for you with your stars, give it a try after you have used it with StarNet and Siril, and see if that helps. So again, pretty cool to see AstroSharp on Queef's channel. Yeah, it was. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely, I agree with him. It's definitely not as good as, nowhere near as good as Blur Exterminator. But then again, like, creating Astro tools isn't my full-time job, so it's something I kind of do for fun, and I think it works. I think it works well for what it does. But it's definitely not perfect yet. I don't think it'll ever be perfect. PixInsight has a page about why XISF is preferred over FITS. Okay, yeah. I have seen Blur Exterminator sharpening the noise in my background. Oh, huh. Yeah, I think it's really, sharpening tools are, they're going to sharpen things regardless, and no model, like not even Blur Exterminator, is perfect. Like, there's just no perfect model out there. I mean, it just doesn't exist. That's why everybody's always trying to improve things, whether it's through science or creating new algorithms and things like that. But yeah, it can definitely, I haven't used it too much. Okay, we got rid of the galaxy. What we're going to do now is go to Filters, Enhance, and Despeckle. And it's not going to enhance the image. It's going to make it worse. So what we're going to do is, so we've got this background layer. What architecture does your neural network use? It's just a simple feed-forward model. So it has 81 inputs and 1 output. The 81 inputs are from they're the 81 pixels surrounding 1 pixel, and then it predicts what the 1 pixel should be in the center. And so just simple feed forward model. And I think it's why the stars can get a little bit wonky sometimes, because it doesn't know how to deal with misshapen stars. And I'm going to try and create another model. It's still a feed forward network, but have more outputs. So maybe it will predict the 9 center pixels of the 81 grid. It's impossible to completely separate noise and just sharpen the DSO. Yeah, definitely the higher SNR is, though, the better it's going to sharpen. Yeah, of course, just I'll have to see it working on the background. Yeah, Have you considered using a convolutional neural network? I have. The thing with that is convolutional networks are a lot harder to train. And the program that I'm using, it can do convolutional networks. So I use R. I don't know if you know what R is, but it's just a statistical programming language. And I like R. R is good. I can run things like TensorFlow and Keras, which are, training algorithms for neural networks that rely on Python through R, using R language. Again, I'm a lot better at programming in R than I am in Python. And so to create, for example, the GUI is really, R is awesome. I like it. To create the GUI in R is really easy, super easy. The problem is if I want to use Keras and TensorFlow, then you also have to attach like Anaconda or some sort of version of Python to it that it can refer to. And that's going to open up a ton of problems when you want to give it to people for free. So it's just, if I could code it as easily in Python with a GUI and use TensorFlow and Keras and whatever, I would do it. But like, it becomes more complicated for the end user to do that. And I kind of want to keep it really simple. So what I've been doing is I've been training it in R through Keras and TensorFlow, like using Anaconda or Python in the background. And then I convert it to a package in R called NeuralNet. So NeuralNet is just a simple feed-forward type architecture training package. Take the weights from the Keras and import it into NeuralNet, which takes a few lines of code that I had to figure out because the way that NeuralNet and Keras interpret the weights is a little bit different in terms of the ordering. But then I just put it in there and it runs. So convolutional network would probably be a lot better. It'd give a lot better results, but it would be somewhat more difficult to implement in a mass scale, which I kind of want it to be easy for the person to use it. And as you can see, like people are still having problems with it. Like, so R is running in the background and an Electron is like an Electron app is what is running it. Sometimes the Electron app doesn't start up at first. So yeah, sorry, tangents. Okay, so what I'm going to do is try and get a nice sort of smoother background. So I've got this layer on top, which I'm just going to do I'm just going to call it background extraction. And I've removed the galaxy so it doesn't interfere with everything. And I'm going to do a despeckle on this. I'm going to uncheck adaptive. I'm going to move the radius all the way up to 30 and the black level all the way to 1 and the white level to 255. And then what you'll see is that it's going to hopefully get rid of all the stars, most of the stars except for the brighter ones. And then we can clone those out a little bit. But you can look at this image and compare it to this image, for example. And you can see that the grays match with the grays and the darks match with the darks. And so what we have to do now is just kind of clone out the brighter stars. And then we'll add a Gaussian blur and then subtract this from that. We're about just using StarNet again. We could do that, I guess, but I don't know. I could do that. That's probably one way to do it. But I guess I didn't think about it. That's one way to do it. and then cloning out or replacing the galaxies. That's, yeah, you could do that again. I think that's perfectly valid. I guess I've already started doing it like this, so I'm going to finish it like this. So I'm just going to clone out all of these little brighter stars. Try and get things as kind of smooth as possible. Okay. Yeah, manual background extraction. Yep, and it works pretty well. I think like it works okay. Okay, now I'm going to blur this layer. So we could do a Gaussian blur, it's probably fine. With something like a kernel size of like 20, maybe 15 or 20. You could go more if you want, even 30, I don't know. Something like that, just to blur it out. And then we can do, I always forget if it's difference or subtraction. We can try difference. That's a little bit too harsh. Do subtraction. And you can see like it's really like darkened up the background almost too much. So you can play with the sliders, you know, to make it less or whatever. And so this is on the unsharpened version of the image. We can do the same thing with a sharpened one, but it really helps clean up the background, I feel like. We can move this one back in, and you can see the difference. It's still not perfect, but I don't know, I'm not going to be perfect with the skies I have. So could do the same thing for that. All right. Again, how strongly you want to darken the background, just, you know, change the opacity of the background extraction layer. Okay. And we get a pretty nice background. I mean, there's still a lot of junk up here. You can see if we zoom in, it's kind of noisy. It's dark here, but light here. Again, from that dust spot. There's not much I can do. Like the data isn't perfect, so just trying our best. Okay, so I might take this down to like 60%. I'm going to create a new layer from the visible, and then I'm going to go ahead and change the image mode to RGB, and we'll bring in the RGB layers. So I'm going to file, open as layers. We have the RGB processed in Siril. And I wouldn't sharpen. I don't worry about sharpening it in PixInsight in AstroSharp, because it's not going to matter. We're going to blur this thing probably pretty strongly. So change the RGB layer that we just made. I'm going to change it to the LCH color. And then we can play with the colors and the saturation. But I guess what we want to do is align the image. That would work. That would be the smart thing to do. So we've cropped the luminance image, but we haven't cropped the RGB. So we shouldn't have to rotate it. We just have to move it. So I'm going to click M on my keyboard for move, and then the arrows, I'm just going to use my arrows to align things. Yeah, I'm not saying that the way I do things is the best. It's definitely not the best, but sometimes it's interesting to see how other people process. Okay, so we've got everything aligned. Now we can change the mode to LCH color. You can see that the stars now have color. The galaxy still isn't very colorful. which is okay. So I'm just going to go to layer real quick, layer to image size, so it's the same color. You can see that the stars now have colors to it a little bit, but it's still a little bit noisy. We can play around with the curves. So let me make this smaller. To try and increase the saturation of everything if we wanted to. So like, you could do this in levels or curves or whatever you wanted. But you can see that as I bring these sliders up, like we are increasing the saturation of the galaxy, and you can see the galaxy is starting to get some color. So we zoom out, you can see kind of the color of the galaxy, but it's also making the background a lot more colorful too. Blue, and we can fix that. It's not something that we can, nothing we have to worry about too much. Yeah, well, it's midnight for me, so I'm gonna head out in a bit. Okay, yeah, yep, that's fine. Thanks for joining, Topcode. Okay, so we can just play around with the curves until we get something we like. It's a little bit too green. We could also do this in levels. So if we wanted to do colors and then levels, we could just bring this slider all the way up and make things like, and move this slider, I think, to the right a little bit and stretch things this way. Again, just sort of personal preference, but what we're doing is just trying to increase the saturation, and we can, you know, there's just different ways to do it. You could also do it levels by levels. So again, if we were doing levels, we could just focus on the R channel first and the green channel or whatever. But I think curves is fine. We just bring this thing up, bring this thing over. We can create a curve if we want to. Just to manipulate things. And that's looking okay. That's not too bad. I'm definitely going to rewatch this. I'm so clueless when it comes to processing. Me too. I'm clueless too. So like I'm sure there's a lot of people here looking at this like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? But yeah, I feel like galaxies, getting the color right in galaxies is kind of difficult. So we can go and click OK. I think I like, it's a little bit blue. It's a little bit blue inside the galaxy. The background I'm not going to worry about because we can fix that really easily. So, but the blue in the galaxy, I might go to actually just the blue channel and just bring things down just a little bit. So you can use your arrow buttons to bring things down. Like you click on it and you bring it down a little bit. And that looks better to me. That looks more natural. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay. All right, so we've got color in the stars. There's a little bit of a problem though, in that like there's color around here, not inside the stars as much, which is a problem. And there's a lot of RGB background noise too, because we only have 30 minutes of color data. So what we can do is we can add a layer mask to the color channel itself, or the color layer. And we will make it white for full opacity, but we're going to take this layer, our luminance layer. We're going to press Control-C to copy it. And then what we want to do is re-click the color layer, make sure you click on the layer mask itself, and then Control V. This will paste the luminance layer, and we want to right click on that and then anchor it. And so what that will do is that anywhere there is like white, it's going to let the color through, and anywhere there is black, it's not going to let the color through. What does it look like if you blur the color layer? Yeah, you could do that too. So let me go ahead and deactivate this. We could blur it. So that's one way to do it too. So we blur it, and you'll see all of the noise gets kind of like goes away. Like so. So I'm not blurring it. It should blur it. Try deactivating the mask, but like it should help get rid of the noise too. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's working now. Maybe that's because I have the mask on still or something. I don't know. But you could blur it. Sometimes I've blurred it before, but sometimes what happens is you get like really weird artifacts around the stars, and we might still get that doing it with just a layer mask. But that sometimes it still happens. And if you blur it, sometimes it like this area will get all kind of like blurry and muddy looking and look brown in here. So if we add a layer mask where we just let the stars and the DSO through, that usually helps get rid of that blurriness. So, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and reactivate the layer mask. And what I think I want to do now is just look at the layer mask itself. So I pressed Alt and clicked on the layer mask, and it's just showing me the layer mask. And I want to kind of make it so where the stars are really white, the galaxy is really white, but the background is all black. So we can do that again with curves, and like press Control around a black spot, press Control around sort of the brighter parts of the galaxy, and just kind of manipulate it until we see only like white. I don't know if that makes sense. Like we see like almost a binary. It doesn't seem like it's updating. Why isn't it updating? Oh, I don't think I clicked on the layer mask. So let's try that again. There we go. So again, Control on the areas that we want to like manipulate. So Control and click on parts of the image, and then we just move things up and down. You can see like the stars are starting to come through, the galaxy's starting to like become colorful, and we again Alt and then click on the layer mask and see what it's actually doing to the layer mask. So we don't want this part to be white, so we want to maybe back off on that. This is, again, we kind of want to make it just like a binary, like there's either black or there's white. We want to make sure that the galaxy, everything in the galaxy shows through. Okay. Okay, and this will like help make sure that there's no color noise at all in the background. So that's one way of doing it. All right, so we can go and click OK. I think I still want more of the color in the galaxy, so I'm going to go ahead and press Alt and then click on the color, the mask again, and add some white in here. So some white around the galaxy. We'll try and kind of make it soft, but kind of get some of the color here. Slowly bring out the color. See, it's really noisy, super noisy. So I need to make a noise reduction tool next, I think. So, but I just want kind of the color to come out. And then now at this stage, I might blur it. Blur the actual thing. So any plans for a noise reduction? Yeah, I think that's the next step. I really want to do something like that. So if we can turn off the color, turn it back on, and check and see what the differences are. But yeah, I mean, that's a problem with Portal 8 and 9 zones. You get like 8 or 10 hours of data and you still don't get a good image. Still don't get a good image. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this and blur it because we got color noise here. So filters, blur, Gaussian blur, and then I think you can see the difference, right? There's quite a big difference. Like all that noise goes away. It's looking a little bit too green to me. So go to colors and levels and then go to green, just the green channel, and just pull it down a little bit with arrows, just slightly, so it looks normal again. Yeah. Yep, big difference. Okay, so now we've got that. I feel like after all of this, I want to go back and reprocess it again. Like, that's the thing with processing. You never feel like you're done. Okay, so we make a new from visible, so we can just call this like RGB plus L. And then I might go ahead and duplicate this layer. And then I'm going to try and even up the background a little bit to make things a little bit less noisy or less like, I don't know, uneven in the background. Go to colors, curves again. And so they're over here, it's a little bit too light. And here compared to this part, so I'm going to click here where it's light and click where it's dark. And then click on this dot, and again, use my arrows to move it up ever so slightly. And hopefully we can get these two parts to match a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little bit better. And then we have the same thing here, where it's a little bit too dark here. So I'm going to do it, just click, the curve comes up again, click Control where it's dark, Control where it's a little bit lighter, click on the dark spot, and then just use my arrows to move it up just slightly. And kind of get the background to be a little bit, more even. And that's, I mean, it's already shaping up to be not as, it's okay. It's an okay image. What we might want to do now is just do some noise reduction on the galaxy itself. So I'm just going to call this layer like evening out. Like, I know evening out the background. Duplicate that, and we'll call this a noise reduction image, noise reduction. And I'm going to go to, again, in GIMP, if you have gimmick, then noise reduction can be, you know, pretty nice. And we bring it up. And we're going to check for Ian's noise reduction 2019. And we can do a lot of things with these sliders. Like, so if you see, like, I brought the shadow slider up, you can see that around in the shadows, like, it did a lot of noise reduction here. So you can see, like, the before and the after. You can also look at, like, the mid details, the large details, and the fine details. So you can also do, you can kind of like blur those as well. So it gives you a lot of control over what you want to blur. I'm just going to reset everything, and I'm going to, again, increase the shadows just a lot, and then click OK. So we can check what happened. We can see the difference. Like, this is the fully, like, noise reduction, and this is, like, before we did noise reduction. So you can see, like, it's cleaned up a lot of these edges, but in the middle of the galaxy, I don't know, it's made things quite a bit blurrier, which I don't like. So again, the way to solve that is just kind of like doing a layer mask. Again, if we look at the stars too, like, it kind of, like, I don't know, makes things a little bit too unnatural. So I'm just going to add a layer mask to this noise reduction level. And we're going to do this time full transparency, so it's not showing anything. And then I would take the brush tool, the paintbrush tool, make sure white is selected. So again, the layer mask is black. Make sure you've clicked on the layer mask itself. And what we want to do is we want to paint parts of the layer mask that we want there to be a lot of noise reduction on white. And that will let the noise reduction show through. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'll go ahead and click on this. And I start to bring that noise reduction into the image. Pretty good for 30-second subs. I have to watch from the getting late lunch down under. Yeah, yeah. I think it is pretty good. I think it's pretty, not just 30-second subs, but Portal 8 Skies. Portal 8 Skies. Yeah, that's the killer. That's like, that's the real killer. But yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I keep it at 30-second subs anyway. So it's because any longer things start to get blown out. So yeah. Okay. So now we've kind of like done a whole bunch of noise reduction on the edges of the galaxy, on the stellar arms, and I think that makes things look better. So it's taking a while to update. So let me zoom in. So this is before the noise reduction of the layer mask, and this is after. You can see that it's really sort of helped clean things up a little bit. Right, I'm gonna actually blur the layer mask a little bit because I don't want like really harsh edges to be visible. Like, I don't think it's too visible, but blur it some, and then yeah, it just should kind of smooth it out a little bit. I think that's looking pretty nice. Again, I think there's a little bit too much green in the image. Like there's too much green in this part of the image. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and do new from visible again, and hopefully my PC doesn't crash. And then go to colors, curves, and then go to green a little bit. Why do you use Siril and Gimp compared to something like APP or PixInsight? Because this is what I learned it on. Like that's just what I've I started out using Gimp and Deep Sky Stacker, and I then moved on to Siril, and then I just never got off of it. Yeah, and because it's free. Yeah, I like it too because it's free. So I'm going to go ahead and I think you can get decent results with either one too. So I'm just click a couple of anchor points and then bring this middle one down. And I think that makes things look a ton better. So if we go back, this is before I changed the green, or this is after, and this is before. Give it a second to update. It's starting to like, yeah, there we go. So I'll zoom in so you can see it even more. This is before I changed the levels and then after. I think that this makes it look a lot more natural looking, less green in the image. Ooh, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for tonight. Portal 8 would be a nightmare. I have Portal 2. You can go 5 minutes at F7 and background is still dark. Have GIMP, but haven't really used it much. Yeah, Portal 8 is a nightmare. I've lived in worse. I've lived in Portal 10, and in Portal 10 I would not be able to get this image, not in a million years, with just 9 hours of data. It would probably take me like 30 hours to get something like this. It was really bad. So Portal 8 is much better than Portal 10. But Portal 8 is still no fun. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I can go out there and I can put out my telescope and do stuff. Especially narrowband, it's fine. But with something like galaxies, like something faint, like NGC 4535, it's just hard. I feel like I still need about 10 more hours of data on this, but I just don't have it. Like it's gone behind the house, and like if I move the telescope to the other side of the house, like there's more, there are lamps out there, there's local light pollution, in addition to, just the general sky glow that I have to deal with. So it's too late for me to image anymore on this target, I think. But I think it turned out well. I mean, I'm using 30-second subframes, and it's in Portal 8, and I think it's about as good as I can get it. And it's just a cool looking galaxy. Like I really like this really defined, I don't know, backwards S shape or whatever. You can kind of see like the bar in the middle, and then the two really distinct spiral arms. But yeah, I think that's it for the processing. I might go back into it and try to even out the background a little bit more. Like here, it's still a little bit messy, but I don't know. I think it's a cool image. It's if I had 8 hours on this in a Portal 2 zone, it would look amazing. But in a Portal 8 zone, it's just the noise just eats into it so much. So, okay. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to end it here. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And yep. Thanks.